So anyways, let's get started because I know you're a busy man. So
Okay.
let's start with the first question. Okay.
All
So
right. Yeah.
let's navigate through them and expand on whatever you want. So first of all, we'd love to know like what's your role in the company and in this project, Ace Hardware. And yeah, tell us about you, what you're doing, and anything you want to expand on.
Yeah. So I am newer here at Skender. I've been here 6 months. I'm a project engineer in our interiors group. And I like to call myself the field software liaison for the Ace Hardware project. So any of the tech or like software we're using on site, I tell everyone, come to me if you have questions.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
you're the one testing out all the new stuff that's
Oh
Skender
yeah.
Construction. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's
So
fun.
This is this is a project from the company Skender, and the name of the project is Ace Hardware. We can share that, right?
Yeah, it's hardware relocation project. It's
Okay.
265,000 square foot tenant build out.
Wow.
It's $35 million. And one of the cool facts is they're moving into where McDonald's University is. So where
McDonald's
Mc-
University? What's McDonald's University?
so McDonald's University is where they teach new franchise owners how to run a McDonald's franchise.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
their original location was out in Oak Brook in 1986. I think the building was done. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, they moved to downtown Chicago, and the building
Okay.
was sitting vacant for about 6 years. And Ace Hardware was 4 minutes from there. And they're like, you know what? This is just enough space for us. It's a nice campus. And so they decided to move in there.
Okay. That's definitely a cool factor for sure.
Yeah.
And this project is you're halfway in. How long is the project? Tell me a little bit about that.
We're a little bit more than halfway in. The
Okay.
project is a 9 month project. So we started January of this year. It's a little long for a TI build out, but having such a large footprint
Yeah.
and so much work that's going on, it's a 9 month project. So we're looking to be done around September 8th.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Close to my birthday. Thank you.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
and and now moving on to like as you keep working in this project, any challenges that you've encountered in terms of like anything technical or the design of the project or anything that was different to other projects that you've been involved?
So I will say, and this is how I really kind of got to utilize ProPlanner and really dig my teeth in with our superintendent. Um, we had some conflicts with a base building. So it's a 4 story building.
Okay.
We were looking to kind of just work our way down from the top down to the first floor and kind of just work our way out of the building. We broke it up into 3 zones per floor. So there was zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. We were trying to finish them and then go down to the next floor. But because of base building work, it completely threw off our sequencing for the project. So we had to do zone 1 of the fourth floor. Then we had to drop down to the second floor, do the complete second floor, go back up and do the third floor, and then finish out the remaining scope of work on the first floor.
Okay. So that's a
Yeah.
challenge in itself for sure.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. And you haven't had that in another project before, right?
Oh no. You usually when it comes to dealing with base building stuff, a lot of that stuff is kind of outlined
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. So we're not like in active construction having to change our sequencing.
Yeah.
So very new experience.
Okay.
They, I
That's
mean, it
that's
was
what
a
makes you
challenge. It was
that
fun.
what makes you better, right? When you have these new experiences that you didn't even think that it was gonna happen, and then dude, one more thing in the bucket of talents that you have, man. So next project you're gonna have that tool. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah, and I always uh I like to commend my team because we've had a bunch of different shifts on our project, and just being able to collaborate, communicate, and keep everything organized as like we worked. it really made it where like that challenge wasn't something that was like, too much for us to manage. We had the
Okay,
tools and the resources to get it done. Everyone was on the same page, and we were able to kind of pivot when we needed to.
dude, a great team is what changes everything, right? When you have
Oh
a good
yeah.
team that is aligned, it's a different thing. So talking about that team, what are your goals for this project? Like obviously you want to finish the project in time and budget, that's the typical stuff, but is there anything in particular that is like, you know, something that you're looking forward to this job? Any special thing you want to finish, or you want to see it happen with this project after you finish?
Well, just kind of overall, which I think with any project, you will want to walk away with a product that you're proud of and that the client's happy with. Which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Ace Hardware, they come into the site, I would say like once a month,
Okay.
and everyone's super excited to move in. The space is an upgrade for them. They're going from being in two different buildings to everyone being consolidated into one. So everyone's super happy with that. And then for us as Skender as a whole, we don't do a lot of suburb work kind of around Chicago, uh, at least to that scale. So we're really trying to make it be known that like, yes, we do the, downtown Chicago work, we do the city work, but we also do the suburb work. We're able to manage the work out here, work well with other villages here and have a strong presence.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. And what would you say now that we talk about a little bit like what you're looking forward to this project? What would you say is a like a very efficient construction job site, or how would you describe like a very efficient project team? What are the main
Uh,
ingredients? What are those things that can't miss that you're like, in my experience, by the way, you've been working in other companies as well. So um
yeah,
what have you seen that it's like, oh, this was an efficient job site? Like we were running this lean, we are coordinating, we are using tech. Are there any ingredients that you have in your portfolio?
I think it's a factor of all of those things you mentioned. So one, just being able to communicate, that is the biggest thing. I mean, in construction, the fastest you can get information out, the better productivity you have, the more profitable everyone is, the
Yep.
better, more morale you have, the better flow of work you have. Um, Having the tech and the resources for someone who's like in my role, where I'm a little bit younger, I'm coming in new to the company, having tech and the resources that's a little bit more cutting edge, a little bit different than what you may be used to, that gives us a chance to almost put ourselves in kind of this leadership role. Because now a guy like me who's in my 20s, I'm interacting with, foremen from different subcontractors because they're coming to me to talk about the tech, but we're also building the job through the schedule, which like using ProPlanner, which I think it was great to do that and was kind of almost this like unintended like side effect of having something like that, because we know the older guys don't like to use tech. They're pretty much like, if I can't get it on a piece of paper, I usually don't want to look at it. But when you have someone who they can come to and they feel comfortable coming to, because I understand
Yeah.
construction, I understand they just want to get their job done, but having something that's like, okay, we can collaborate on this where I'm learning from you and you're learning from me as well. So you're building up the future by using a lot of this new cutting edge tech without even trying. It's not even this like forward focus like goal. It just happens naturally and organically.
All the companies that are not tech forward should be listening to this and be like, man, we're missing out for sure. So now that you mentioned like the schedule and a few other things, how important, I mean, obviously it's very important, right? But how important do you think is having good schedules and having proper like field planning processes in your job site to have a successful project? Never mind ProPlanner, like having good schedule and planning processes, how important you think this is for a successful job site?
I think it's one of the most important things. We tend to focus on, budget and and like labor costs a lot, but a lot of that is built off of your schedule. That's the keystone for that. And having an accurate schedule, one lets me know if there's any pivots or changes or deviations from that original plan. I can catch that beforehand before this is costing us money down the line, before this is causing us to lose production or delaying our project down the line. Having an accurate schedule to start with is very important. And then having a field planning process that is, robust, very collaborative, very hands-on, I believe takes it even further because that's what sets up that initial accurate schedule. Like, so for instance, I could build a schedule and let's say I give ABC Drywall 10 days to drywall a zone on an Ace Hardware. But let's say they need 15 days. Me not knowing that, my schedule isn't accurate, so I'm building something that's not possible. But being able to, have those conversations and have kind of like uh, a good baseline, anything that comes up, you're able to address, get on top of. And again, like I said, it is an information game. Construction is an information game. The quicker I can relay information to you or whoever needs it, that's time,
In a
money,
timely
and
fashion.
energy.
Yep.
It's saved.
Yep. Makes total sense. Makes total
Yeah.
sense. And going back to you obviously mentioned like the advantage of having technology and all that stuff. What are the main values or how important it is to have like that tech in your project? Like obviously we talk about that coordination and all those things, but what else do you see with your team? Because obviously you're not just using ProPlanner, you're using Procore, you're using other tools. Like what are the main values of having tech in your job site?
Having all of your information organized, I think that's very important. If I have technology that's all kind of integrated together, I can minimize the amount of misinformation out there or how fast I can relay that. It's very good for also again training up the future because we are going into the way of the future with tech. Everything's going to be computers, iPads, cell phones, whatever the case may be. Um, you're training up the future project managers, superintendents by having some of this cutting edge tech because these are going to be the big players in the game in the long run. And then you're helping them build the relationships with other field people who are older and doing the work, or other people who maybe they're younger, and it's this is their opportunity to make themselves more valuable, being able to do bigger jobs and jobs where more of these resources are available.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So pretty much having a solid tech stack allows you to take more work in a more efficient fashion. That's
Exactly.
also something that a lot of GCs should listen and be like, hey man, we can take more work and get a little bit ahead instead of staying in the past with legacy tools or Excel or pen and paper or whatever. So makes total
And
sense.
it also makes you look more of a professional. There's a million construction companies all over the place at all different, levels of success. But having stuff like this, it's like it kind of sets you apart. It's like, why would I choose Skender? Well, Skender's using, top of the line technology. Skender's offering the resources to make sure the people doing the jobs are trained properly, or they're always, leading in innovation
Yeah.
and they understand the way the industry is going, it always looks good. So that's it.
And,
Goes tech does
and
that as
and
well.
and that's something that I've been seeing a lot with one of the main challenges today in construction, which is having, talent, younger generations coming in construction. So I believe, and I think we all believe in the companies that technology attracts new talent, young people that want to get in construction, and hopefully improve that big problem that the industry has of lack of talent or lack of young generations interested in construction.
Yeah.
So the more technology you bring and the more innovation and more efficiencies, that's going to attract definitely younger generations to be like, okay, this industry is not what it was 30 years ago. Now it's super
Yeah.
cool. Now we have robots, we have software, we have AI, we have
Yeah.
VR. I don't know, maybe not, but I believe definitely that attracts younger generations.
100%. I mean, everyone's attached to their phone now. You're telling me I just kind of go into my field and it's not, oh, leave all of my tech at home, but I get to use what, I spend most of my day using. Like we use
Yeah.
software and technology all the time. And the younger generation is even more versed in it than even myself. So having companies that like offer that, it gives them the sense of like comfort to step into those roles and be more confident as a leader as well.
Yeah. Well, you're in your 20s, dude. You said so. So you're a Gen Z or you're millennial? You're
Millennial.
oh, you're millennial? Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have TikTok? Do you use TikTok?
I do use TikTok.
Ah, okay. You're on the edge.
Borderline
You're
millennial.
borderline for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So okay, going back to the tech. So obviously you've been talking about how you leverage technology, how important it is. What about, and I'm going to make a segue here, hopefully not too cheesy, but how are you leveraging ProPlanner in your project? Like, how does it fit in all these processes and all these tech tools that you have? Where does it come in?
Well, ProPlanner right now is the only scheduling software we are using. We use ProPlanner to update our subcontractors. So we're doing 2 week look aheads via 4 hour foreman's meeting every week. We're sending out 2 week look aheads to, there's another contractor working on site who's handling some of the base building stuff, as well as some of the exterior landscaping. We're able to simply print out a 2 week schedule, look ahead and send that over to them. One of the things that I really enjoyed was when we put together our initial schedule with our superintendent, and then we did our pull plan meeting. We were able to get the contractors' feedback for whatever the activities were. So let's say it's we're gonna do finished carpentry in zone one. We're getting their feedback of like very detailed feedback
Yeah.
of everything that like that includes. So, you're a drywall guy. I use drywall because we have our own in-house self-perform team that does drywall. They're
Okay.
saying, this is it's going to take us this many days to, shoot top tracks, stand up studs, and do all of this. And you kind of get to have this as this like separate page in your schedule, so you're not looking at this super long, 40-page schedule with every little detail. You have a
Yeah.
place for that, where if you wanted that, you can look at that, and then you can send, your basic master schedule to whether it's your client, other GCs, or your subcontractors.
Do the other trade partners feel comfortable getting in ProPlanner, or there's still a little bit of,
Yes. And like, I mean, again, there was a little initial resistance, but I
yeah,
feel, that comes with any new software and technology you introduce. But I think one of the things that we had the benefit here at Skender was I was able to kind of make myself that like point person. People are more likely to buy in if they know I can go to one person who's on site, which I'm
yeah,
on site, full time. They can go there, ask questions, and if it's something that's too time consuming, because I understand these are the guys that are doing work like they're dollars per hour, it's a different than mine. It's something I can take care of, which really helped with the software buy-in where they attempted it themselves, and if they had questions, they came to me, and it was more of a like, okay, we can talk this out and like work through this together
okay,
versus like, I'm not using this, you do it. So
exactly. Just
yeah,
passing the bucket, right? Like,
yeah,
take care of this. Yeah, it makes
right.
sense. Having someone like you there that they can, they can rely on, they can go to questions, and it's centralizing maybe the efforts. That is super helpful, at least to get everything started, right? Then once they're in that motion, they can keep evolving after that. But there's always friction at the beginning. Like you're asking them to change the way that they've been working. So there's always going to be friction. But if there's someone facilitating it like you are, then that makes the process much more efficient and easy and takes the weight off for the other people in the team.
Right. And
That's awesome.
I was more, and I'm very much focused on like the user experience for them. So I try to, find the simplest ways for them to use it
Yeah.
and to really utilize it because, you know, I really enjoy the software. I see the immense potential of it. And I understand that, again, with new anything, people are resistant to. So, it took a little bit of like, okay, this is our Bible. We are going off of this. There's not going to be anything else but this. And like, this is who you go to if you have any questions on like how to use the software. And we just really rolled with it. And I feel like we saw a lot of success with that.
That's awesome. All those practices, like we've seen the companies that we have that are using ProPlanner in all of their projects, we've seen that a lot of them have their own like manual Q&A, like step-by-step process to implement the software. And when you have someone like you in a project, like let's say with Skender now, those experiences and that knowledge and what you've been doing with the platform, that is definitely what's going to help if this expands to the whole company, which hopefully it will. That is going to be the backbone of that manual to the other projects. Like, this is what worked. This is how we did it. This is a step by step. This is what you should avoid. So as a vendor slash partner, we always love having someone like you that is actually easy to work with, and seeing the value in what us construction tech companies are bringing and putting it in practice. So that is going to be the point of start for any manual for the company. So
Yeah.
It's very important what you're doing right now in this project. That's what I'm trying to say. So why did you choose ProPlanner? I mean, I don't know if it was like directly you or the team, but what was it about ProPlanner that was different to the other things that are out there, or what you were using before?
So it was a little bit of the team. I kind of came into it after the decision was already made. Before at Skender, they used Microsoft Projects and this thing called Touch. And one of the frustrations is one does one thing and the other does something different, and you kind of want something that does both. And so that's what made them interested in ProPlanner in the first place. And so coming into it, I had never actually heard of ProPlanner before. I mean, I've used Microsoft projects before. I mean, I've heard of P6, your different scheduling software. But when I heard of ProPlanner, I was like, oh, this is cool. Let me kind of dive into this and like see all that like this can do. And I think one of the things for our project that made it very successful is also, you guys helping out, having calls where like we can sit down and kind of go through, what's going on, what are the issues we're seeing in the field, what are some of the issues of things that like we like to see or like to sort, or I want to print out this way to a related information that way. And you guys have been, very responsive and helpful, and you took in that feedback, and whatever was a quick turnaround was a quick turnaround. And when things weren't, it was like, okay, well, this is something that'll be, in development for later, which gave us a lot of I'll say trust in other products.
I appreciate the words. Let's give full credit to our CS team and Torre in particular that was working with you step by step. I'm not going to take any credit for that, but yes, our team is awesome that way. And it's very nice that you highlight that, because we put a lot of effort in being a partner and helping our customers and projects that are working with our platform to do more with the software. It's not just like, hey, buy the license here, we won't talk to you in like years, like it would happen with some of the other mentioned platforms. Like we really trying to be a partner all the way in. So I will promise in this call and any other call that that's not going to change for our company. Even as we get big and grow, that's not going to change. I promise that. I'm saying it publicly. So
Glad
that's
to hear that.
we'll put this in the video, man. I promise. And then, okay, so we talk about that aspect of ProPlanner, bringing the schedule, the field planning together, which is obviously one of our main values. But
yeah,
what specific can you mention specific functionalities from ProPlanner that you really like not a module, but maybe is there something that you're like, man, this is something that we weren't able to do before. It's really cool, or I see potential in here. Is there a specific functionality that you feel is like very, very useful, or at least very interesting from a new technology perspective?
I really like how when you go to your look ahead and you can, it's a copy of your master schedule and you're adding the tasks there. You get to add companies, um, responsible people. I mean, you're getting the ability to build a full schedule that like you can cost load and do all of these things. And then you're also getting the capability to have your subcontractors input the work that like they're doing with their crew sizes, the amount of days they're going to need. I can sort it by company and look at that information and even sending out the link to have them edited and everyone getting their user account set up. They're only able to edit their stuff. So if I send it to ABC Drywall can only work on ABC Drywall stuff. And I can then go and sort and say, they need this amount of time for this activity. How does this affect, cost, durations, and the rest of the flow of work? And I
Any
think
other?
that,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, and I think that's very important because if, let's say I'm working, in Microsoft projects or like P6, yes, I can build a schedule, but I can't sort by, my trade partners' scope of work. Let's say they're having schedule issues. I can, go to ABC Drywall and say, what's going on? Where it's like, if I was using Microsoft projects or like P6, I have this schedule. Yes, we're building off of it, but I have very limited information in terms of that. So where I can't really pinpoint where the problem is with, I mean, I can, but it takes a little bit more investigation, a little bit more legwork on my part, where I feel like ProPlanner kind of offer that's all up front, especially if you have that like subcontractor buy-in.
Interesting. And any other piece of information that would be valuable to put in the lookout? Like you said, you can add the company, the responsible crew size, and you have your trade partners jumping in there and adding their tasks and their sequences, which eliminates a lot of the work that you do in the planning session. What other piece of information you think would be useful to add there, or that's enough to have like a proper, planning process?
I will say this, and I wish we kind of got to use them more on this project. We did use them, but like the roadblocks function, I love that function because it's tied directly to a Procore. So I can take an R5 submittal or whatever the case may be and make that a roadblock within my schedule. So when I go and look and say, okay, we can't get this scope of work done until this time. Why is that? And I can see, oh, there's a roadblock here. And it can give me the information, responsible party, whether it's, we're waiting on material to show up, or it's, we're waiting on a design change or things like that. All of that can be documented within ProPlanner using, you know, that function as well. And it's one of my favorites. We didn't use it as much on Ace hardware, but I do like that function.
Nice. If you were our head of product, and you have to choose what's the next functionality that we need to build, what would you say it was? Like, what would you choose? Something that
Oh,
would add value to you as a field professional. Like, what would, take time from your day or give you other insights? What would you choose?
I say being able to include maybe a procurement log in there. So while ProPlanner is a super collaborative scheduling software, if I can add my procurement log in there as well and be able to get, subcontractor feedback on stuff, because, we're not buying everything. So I'm not buying obviously lights for our, you know, electrician, but they could then add procurement items in there too, and even set them up as roadblocks for tasks. I think that would be very beneficial.
Would that be tied to task or to activities in the schedule, you think?
I think both in a sense where it's like, so let's say, again, we'll use the electricians, let's say they're doing all of their above ceiling lighting. One of their roadblocks for that task item could be, oh, we're waiting on light fixture such and such to like finish this. And or if you're doing the activity, let's say before we do any, above ceiling work, you could add a roadblock and say, for this to be complete, uh, these light fixtures have to come in. So you kind of get the ability to do it with both from a high level down to that very like detailed, minute, like actual task that within, the next like week or two, your subcontractor is going to do.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Appreciate the feedback, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, so now that we are on time, perfect timing actually almost. Is there any message, any advice that you would like to, give other field professionals that are in your position or coming up to your position based on your experience with technology in a project like Ace Hardware? Anything that you would mention, like, hey, this would be a good piece of advice or message that I want to leave to people in the industry?
I would say, don't be afraid to try out new things. One of the things that, we say is one of the biggest killers is like complacency. So when you have software like this that's offering a lot of the things that like we want to do and kind of make our job easier, don't be afraid to like, reach out and see what, even getting a demo, just giving it a shot and really kind of utilizing some of your younger people who you have within your company, and as you're hiring out of college or however you're hiring, give them that chance to like run with these. It offers a opportunity to not only set them up for like a leadership position because they're developing skills that are going the way of the industry. It lets them build those field relationships in a way that you don't always get. So I would say don't be afraid of the new tech because even on the interpersonal side, it does a lot to build morale. And again, it wouldn't seem that way considering I say a lot of the older guys don't necessarily like it, but even, you know, even with that resistance, having people there who can help support anything new makes that transition a lot easier. So I say go for it.
That is a
Don't be
solid piece of
afraid.
advice. Solid piece of advice. I think that should encourage a lot of younger people to come with you know, the eager to learn and try new things, and also upper management people to give their teams freedom to explore new things. That's the only way to change something and make it better, right? If you
And
don't try
also
it,
collaborate, I mean, again, we don't always believe that we can learn from a people younger than us. It's always like, well, I've gone this way. I get this. I don't need anyone telling me what to do, and that sometimes creates a barrier. And I mean, working in a construction, we already know about kind of this field and office barrier that there is. But honestly, the frustration of like uh, getting someone to use new software and having a point person to kind of help with it kind of builds a relationship that blossoms into something where it's like if I'm working on a project 2 3 years down the line and I'm working with this foreman from this subcontractor where I was teaching them ProPlanner, he now comes in, he's like, okay, I know working with a Will, he's going to do whatever he can to make my job easy, and it creates this relationship where it's like, oh, I want to work with Will, regardless of whatever we're doing. I want to work with Will because I know, and I got the chance to experience that, like we're all on the same team and we're going to do what it takes to get the job done.
that's awesome. Do you
Yeah,
think there's a possibility that you might work with the same trades and the same team in a future project?
100%. Working in like a tenant improvement. I mean, our jobs are usually fast. Again, Ace Hardware is a long project for a TI job. It's
Yeah,
usually on the short end, we could be, 6 week projects and we're turning around to do the same thing with in a different building. But a lot of times we like to use the same subcontractors. So when they already know how to work with you and the
yeah,
technology you use and they understand that someone's going to be there to explain it, it's a lot smoother on that startup and it creates a flow on the job that's very critical to having a profitable and timely finish project.
Makes total sense. Will, my friend, can't thank you enough for your time, for all the feedback. And yeah, man, I appreciate you being here, and you're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. And please, anything that you need from a software service, support, whatever, even conversation perspective, like that's what we hear for you guys. And this is, doesn't matter the recording, this is me to you. Anything you need, anything that changes, please feel free to reach out to me. If we can make it better, we'll make it better. If we're sucking at something, also let me know so we can improve it. and and I promise you, between now and your project ends, we are gonna keep improving, and we have some new cool stuff that you're gonna enjoy a lot. Okay, so stay tuned. You're gonna be one of our first, like, special users that are gonna get to try these things. So
Oh,
I'm
thank
excited.
you.
I'm excited about what's gonna come in the next few
Yeah.
months. The iPad app, these integrations that we're talking about, with Procore, and some other stuff that we're doing internally. So I'm super excited about those, and I hope we can get you excited as well. So
No, 100%. Thank you guys for like all of the help. I mean, it's truly a testament to you guys how like available you guys have been. Where rolling out the software, at least for our project, has been a lot smoother than I feel like it could have been because you guys were available. If there was any questions, we were able to reach out. I mean, even like so we're setting up like weekly calls to kind of like, hey, if you have any issues, we can just kind of run through it. Being able to train anyone who comes on new, like, I mean, that stuff is very, very crucial when you're rolling out this software and when you're introducing things to people, like having that resource and having, what feels like a partnership versus I sold you a product, you have it
exactly,
now, figure it out. So
exactly,
I
exactly.
appreciate
I appreciate you appreciating that, my friend.
you.
All right, well, I'll let you go. All the best with what's left in the project. We are here for you, and have a great week, brother.
You too. Thanks, Franco.
Take it easy, Will. Bye, man.
All right, you too.
Thank
Bye.
you.